financial help.
In October last year, a man attempted to get a loan to finish his house, but the deal went south, spiraling into a rigorous legal process that has spanned over a year.
Yeah, I gave the forms to Nelson, the loan officer. He told me after reading through, was like, now this is a mistake, you made a mistake. I asked him which mistake. He told me, you know what? Well, you weren't supposed to fill in the dates. Because when you fill in the dates and the file takes long to be processed, they penalize them. One of those forms was a loans agreement. So he asked me to write my name, just my name, and I think my telephone number. The other parts he told me don't fill in, plus the dates. The other document he gave me to sign was, it had printings from the middle of the page. It had I dash 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 hereby assent, then my signature. It had nothing else, plus the part for debt.
This man, whom we shall call Hassan, not real names, was one such person who chose a microfinance institution and has since been through hell for a year with risk of losing his hard-earned property.
I get a call from Nelson and he told me, you know what, it's bad news. I asked him what's the problem. He told me, you see, your application has been rejected.
Hassan, who applied for 65 million, instead got 10 million deposited directly into his account without his consent.
I got to withdraw money from my account. I first made an inquiry, I found more money. I went back to the teller and I asked the gentleman to tell me where the money came from. He told me, it came from a friend of yours called Lechego.
Hassan signed a half-printed document that later turned out to have more wordings that he did not see at the point of signing. The page stipulating the amount lent to him does not have his signature. It takes us through the efforts to get redress at the Lechego head office in Kampala.
The offer was of 10 million. It had a stamp for the manager. To continue down, it was attached to the other letter that I signed that was halfway, that I signed on. It had a continuation now, it was full with wordings. And it was also dated 23rd. I told the lady, first time, on this date, I was sick in hospital. I was never in change. After like 3 days, from the 14th, I get calls from the area manager, Eastern Region. It's called Ibra. He calls me, he's like, hey, mister, I've heard about your complaint. I'm like, what do you have to do about it? He's like, we need to meet and talk. We organized 3 meetings and he failed to turn up.
Hassan confirms that he did not sign the papers on the said date and was instead hospitalized in Kampala. He gave us documents and videos to that effect.
On the 23rd, I was never there, I was sick. And on the 30th, I was never there.
On the second meeting, when we didn't turn up, he told me, why don't we just add you 25 million? So that now you have a loan of 35 million, the first sale, and you let everything go.
Hassan rejected the extra 25 million and instead filed a case of fraud at Jinja Central Police Station. Police swung into action, arresting Martin, the manager Lechego Jinja, and Nelson, the loans officer. The two, however, managed to secure police bond. After hearing all this, we made a trip to Jinja's Lechego office and I posed as a potential borrower, in effect conducting an interview with Nelson, the man whom Hassan claims was at the center of the forgery.
The maximum is 100 million. However, there are those other people, let's say, they are given some 100 million price and they are doing well. You can go ahead and give another product.
This man, out on police bond, now texts me through the process, which I'll have to go through to get a loan with him.
They move together, become the one. Most people are paying like 1.5 million. Some people will go to the principal and then some people will go to the interest rate. By the time you like 12 months or 24, the whole thing is good.
After a year of moving back and forth with Lechego, Hassan lastly got a meeting with the Uganda Microfinance Regulation Authority, a body that is tasked with regulating Tier 4 financial institutions like Lechego.
Most of them are still ignorant about the law. They do not know that the law is in place. So they are doing all the illegality.
Even after refunding Leshego's money, it had to take the intervention of the regulator before Hassan got his land title back.
The complainant has been given back his certificate of title. We are proceeding against the institution on the regulatory bit of it.
Even here, however, he did not get any answers and was sent back to police. Though the guiding law gives UMRA powers to investigate, their legal officer confirms they do not have the capacity to conduct the investigation. The committee, however, had a stern warning to Leshego about the findings of the police investigation.
We do not condone fraud, and neither does the law. It is extremely unacceptable, and if one is found guilty, they face a wide range of penalties as stipulated under the Act. Number one, revocation of the license, and that means you're kicked out of business.
Economic policy analyst Ramadan Gobi says Ugandan society is to blame for the increase in borrowing.
A lot of people are borrowing money to do things which, if they didn't do them, they wouldn't really lose sleep. But there is this challenge that everybody must buy a car, everybody must build a house. Who told Ugandans that you must live in your own house?
There are over 25 banks operating in Uganda with thousands of branches strewn across the country. Experts assert that Ugandans have turned away from these banks when it comes to accessing credit, and while many of them are signing away their hard-earned properties under piles and piles of paperwork, even the regulator has their hands tied behind their back.
Banks refuse to trust Ugandans. They seem to think that Ugandans are risky. The informal sources are not very bureaucratic in the assessment of risk. Someone who walked in around midday, by 1 p.m. you have money.
Last month, September, they called me how my loan is in arrears. I tell them I don't have any money with you guys. I didn't get any loan from you guys. You forged documents and I sent back your money. I don't want to hear about the areas. All I need is my land title.
With the money lenders and these other microfinance institutions, the moment you walk in, you tell them your problem, you show them you have the collateral. Sometimes actually the money lender is not interested in the money for you to bring it back, is interested in the collateral you have brought.
So is it a group of fraudsters working within Leshego, or is it the inner workings of the company that are bent on defrauding Ugandans?
I think it's an organized system. It's a syndicate, because nothing has been done to them. Nothing. And now the case is, Ginger office is running, I believe, normal. Everything is now being handled in Kampala here. I believe the organization is aware of this. But I don't think I'm the first person to be a victim of Leshego. Many people have been victims. But I think they're just dying silently.
Just give me the story. Are you under obligation?
Dennis, who called this gentleman and told him, you know what, I want to talk to you, but off the record. It's not official. Whatever I'm going to tell you is not official. But I just have to make it a point that you don't publish this story. So then they directed him where the offices were, and he went and met him. Truth is, he gave him money, because I have the recordings when he called him and when he gave him the money. I told him, but you see, my lawyer wrote to you. He said, don't involve lawyers in these things. They'll just waste your time. And don't put media here. They'll waste your time too. When they come for my side of story, that's where it will end. Don't waste your time.
Leshego asserts they did not do any wrong to Hassan, and now here was their marketing manager paying for me to drop the story.
Just drop the story. When you first come from South Africa, drop the story, you come and look for you on other matters.
The only question was, and is, why?
Then after she sent me an apology. On behalf of Leshego, hereby apologize for the inconveniences caused, blah blah blah. I was like, Madam, Do you know what I've gone through for this whole year? Now I'm a businessman. Yes, let's take it that my land was worth 65 million. Do you know what I would have done with 65 million? My property has been on a standstill for a year. My name has been tainted from the people I picked from money, promising that the rentals will be ready by then. My family is already messed up. I want the world to know my story.
Daniel Lutaya, NBS, investigates.
Now, just before we went on air, still connected to that story, Letshego give us the following information. Our client applied for a credit facility of 65 million on the 20th day of October 2018. On appraisal, we approved a facility of Uganda shillings 10 million and disbursed the same on the 31st day of October 2018 into his bank account.
Now, the client required for additional funds, which we declined to approve. We agreed that he returns the funds, which he did in February 2019, which is 4 months later.
The above notwithstanding, we did the following. We waived off all fees and interest that had accrued on the client's loan account and subsequently closed it. They also add that the client's land title was returned to them free of any encumbrance.
That's a statement from Letshego that has just been sent to us before we came on air. We're now going to cross to my colleague, Kanari Mugume, who is standing by for us for another interview related to the same. Kanari?
Yes, thank you so much, Sheila and Samson. Now, we are trying to understand where this story might lead us because there are so many contractual agreements that were signed and so many terms of reference. But then I'm here with Patrick Katabazi, who is a commercial lawyer, very conversant with that, and trying to understand whether exactly, the one who claims to be a victim actually has a case. Thanks for joining us this evening and allowing to speak to us. You looked at some of those documents. What would be your take from that?
No, to begin with, our viewers must understand that for a contract, for any contract to be valid, and of course, a money lending agreement is a contract. There must be an offer, there must be an acceptance, there must be an intention on the part of parties to create a legal relationship, and there must be consideration. So this story depicts a scenario where somebody is claiming that he needed a loan of a high amount, was made to sign documents, but a lesser amount of 10 million was deposited on his account. He goes to his account, picks this money, and takes it back to the bank. In my view, if we are to get his case measured against the key elements of the contract, one would safely say that a person who went out to look for a loan, got a loan, but went to his bank account, got the money that he got in the form of a loan, and then he takes it back, is not such a person you would say that he had a meeting of mind with the person who lent him the money. So this is...
Yes, but the agreement then, here in this case, I do not accept the amount of money that was given to me, because that's not what was in the agreement.
So according to the documents that I've been able to see, this gentleman is claiming that part of the agreement that specifies the amount of money is not signed. The rest of other documents were signed by him. But that particular part that indicates the amount of money is not signed. And that, in my view, becomes a red flag. And the fact that actually he gets this money and takes it back is an indication that there's something wrong. Because otherwise, if it is true that he wanted a loan of 10 million and he has received 10 million, why would a person like that take it back?
So then would you say he has a case?
So in my view, he has a case because, first of all, for the agreement to be complete, a party signing an agreement has to endorse on each and every page so that it is clear that such a person has owned everything that is written in that agreement. Short of that, cases such as these will definitely arise.
How do we call that? Do we call that fraud on the side of Letshego?
Is
that fraud from a microfinance institution?
So this case needs to be understood in the context of all the parties that are involved. The loan officer,
who is involved and also the person who is claiming. Because honestly speaking, if somebody says, I was made to sign documents, most of these documents that I signed didn't have these words that I'm seeing right now. The page that I'm disputing is not signed by me, and I'm being forced to take this money. I have returned their money. They are rejecting this money. They are saying I should pay penalties on it, interest and the rest.
Yeah.
Then for me, that becomes a clear case of fraud on part of the person who is involved in the loan processing. But then it also becomes a case against the company if a company sees a mistake and it does not do something about it.
So he definitely has a case, not just one, but more than one.
So definitely, the claimant, if the facts that are being relayed are true, the person has a claim. And especially so that he got this money and returned it.
How big is this problem in microfinance institutions?
Now, what is happening in financial institutions right now is what we are calling abusive lending. Abusive lending is taking two forms. One form is where you get money, very, very little money, more than what you want. You actually get this money because you need money anyway. But this is the amount of money that is not going to help you deal with the problem for which you wanted this money. So meaning that you take the money, it won't solve the problem that you have, but then you have to pay it back. The other element, which is very common, is where you probably don't qualify for a lot of money, but then the banks gives you more money that you can possibly absorb, more money that you can possibly pay back, which results into a client of the bank or the financial institution losing property that he has pledged, but also losing many other opportunities along the way, and then creating a cycle of poverty that we are seeing in our communities, where you sell your property to pay a loan, the property that you have sold does not generate enough money to pay, you get another property, you borrow left, right, and center, so you find yourself entangled in so many problems. So this problem of abusive lending is becoming common, and there are two reasons attached to it. One of the reasons is that the banks are in a dilemma, and financial institutions are in a dilemma.
And therefore
they have the money, they have to make the money. But they are aware of the risks. So would
you rather go for manipulation to recover the risks?
Certainly that is unethical. And for me, again, the other thing that needs to be discussed is the issue of consumer protection in this whole equation. If the bank or financial institution is mistreating me, should I be, as of first instance, be running around with police? Why wouldn't I go to the regulator if they have very strong consumer protection mechanisms to take there my case?
Okay, Councillor, unfortunately our time is fast spent, but it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Maybe it's very important that next time the viewers, next time you take a loan, read word by word, sentence by sentence, so that you don't find yourself entangled in this circle of poverty, running around with police and trying to sue the financial institution. NBS Live at 9 takes a break, but when we return, more news for you.